Hey guys, so I had a couple people asking me some things on Instagram about being a nurse practitioner when you get out, what it's like, contracts, money, things like that. So I'm on here to discuss that with you guys. So I can only speak about my personal experiences, and I work in the southeastern United States. So that region, I don't know how much it pays other regions, where the cost of living is. You have to take all of those things into consideration. But I'm just gonna kind of give you guys a little bit of a talk about, how much, nurse practitioners typically make, and at least in my area that I work, how it works when you get out and that sort of thing. So hopefully this will help you guys a little bit, for those of you who are getting ready to get out of nurse practitioner school and kind of understand how things work. So anyway, I got out of nurse practitioner school. I applied to a couple different places. I got into the emergency department immediately, and that was awesome. I was really excited to be there. And I got out of school and I was just like, well, I guess I'm just gonna take whatever they offer me, because I don't really know like what I'm supposed to do. Like, I don't know, I've heard you can like counter offer and I don't know, kind of work things out with, but I'm just gonna take whatever because I don't really know how this works. And I've learned a lot since then. You can negotiate things into your contract. So most nurse practitioners, from my understanding, are salaried. So we work salary up to a certain number of hours, and then anything over that number of hours, then we get paid hourly, if that makes sense. And that's how my jobs have been. So I was salaried in the 90s, and then anything I worked over and above that, I got paid hourly for it at a certain rate. So yeah. And then sometimes, depending on where you work, if you work in the emergency department, there isn't really an opportunity to have a bonus. But if you work in the outpatient setting, the more patients you bring in, the more patients you see a day. I've been hearing that there's an opportunity for a bonus. So that's really kind of neat. That's another aspect. And so, that being said, you can work certain things into your contract. So when the contract that I was offered when I worked in the emergency department, when I first started, that was actually a very good contract. They paid for my up-to-date subscription, which is amazing. If you don't know what up-to-date is, you should. It is an online kind of database that has all kinds of information about everything, and it's really awesome. And I think it's $500 a year, maybe $6 or $7, I can't remember. I think the last I checked it was. But you can accumulate for everything you look up and you read about on there. Like say you need to know how to treat a sinus infection, and you type in sinus infection and you search it. It keeps track of it up in the corner. And so you will see up in the corner that you start accumulating CME, continuing medical education hours. And so you can submit those at the end of each year for your required amount of continuing medical education, which is awesome because I think I acquired like 100 hours, like my first couple of years working. So that was awesome because it pretty much took care of everything you needed. And then they also, so part of the contract was that. Part of the contract was also that you got some PTO in there, which is your typical like couple of weeks or whatever off. And you can acquire, I was able to acquire up to like, I think 200 or something in a year, 200 hours in a year or something like that, a PTO. I can't exactly remember. But that's that. So up to date, resources is I guess what I'll call up to date is the resources, your PTO, and then also the other thing is continuing medical education money. So they actually give you a certain amount of money. I think mine was $2,500 a year that you can spend toward completing your continuing medical education hours. Timber, that you can, your continuing medical education money, your CME money, is a certain amount of money that they allot you within your contract that you can use per year toward a conference or whatever, or a book, or some sort of online program or something, whatever it is that you need to complete your CME hours, because they are required of you. Also in my contract, because they knew I was coming straight out of school, they paid for all of my for my licensing. So they paid for all of those things, which was really nice. And they also paid a certain amount of money if I kept all my receipts and things for moving costs, because I was moving from another state. So that contract was really awesome. So other things that you can, not everybody offers those things. Not every contract offers, I think my contract offered $2,500 per year of continuing medical education money. And I think that's kind of standard. I've heard going up to $3,000, but that's it. I think $2,500 is actually pretty good. So, some places don't offer that. So you can say, okay, say they offer you $95,000 a year plus hourly with any number of hours you work over 40 hours a week. So, that's what they offer you. And then you say, okay, well, you could counter offer and say, okay, well, I will do that, but I also want $2,500 a year for CME money. I want this, I want that. And you can say, and plus my up-to-date subscription, or say you use Hippocrates, or one of the other apps, one of the other things, you can say, I'll take that, but I want these other things included. And so these are your bargaining chips that you have with your contracts. So, I think that what I got in my initial contract was awesome. And when I moved to another job, I wasn't offered those things, and I was so spoiled, basically. I was super spoiled, and I was like, well, wait a second, why am I not getting $2,500 for my continuing medical education? Why am I not getting my subscription to Up to Date? Why are these things not included? And so I had to counter offer and kind of do a little bit more of a wheeling and dealing kind of thing. So those things, I learned as I went. I didn't know anything. My mom's a nurse, but I didn't know any other nurse practitioners. And all of my clinical rotations, were pretty much, all the people that I met through there were pretty much from up near Kentucky. So, I didn't really have those people around to ask, so I just kind of took it and went from there. But there's also liability insurance. You should be covered. Your place of work should cover that. So you really need to look at your liability insurance and see what it covers. Make sure you go over those sorts of things. Get a lawyer. Pay a couple $100 for them to review everything, review your contract. It's worth it to pay the couple $100. If you're with a big hospital system, you can pretty much rest assured that they've got it covered. Pretty much rest assured. And I've found that for me, I had a short period of time where I was not in a large hospital system and more of like a private practice kind of setting, and it was a very short period of time. But I will say that I'm one of those people, I like the big hospital settings. I like being in teaching hospitals. I like being, in that kind of an environment. So that's more my thing. But anyway, so I will say that those are all the things that you should probably, consider. Those are the things that you have to, that you can do some sort of negotiating with. And those are typical things that you would negotiate. Money if you have to move for your job, the CME money for conferences, the resources like Hippocrates or Up to Date. Those are all things, PTO, those are all things that, and that you have, that you need to make sure that you are looking at in your contract. So I hope that helps. Like I said, I got out, started out brand new, fresh out of school, getting paid in the 90s, in the low 90s. You can also become certified. So I could go back and become certified in emergency medicine. You can go back to school and pay some money for it and take extra classes. Or if you work in emergency medicine for, I think it's 3 full years, I think it's 3, maybe it's 2. And I also think it depends, it varies per state. So I think if you do 2 or 3 full years, you can just without going back to school, you can go ahead and take the exam and become certified in emergency medicine. I know you can do that in other things like dermatology and other things like that. So I do know, like as far as growth goes and financial growth, if you want to go back and you become certified in something, if you are certified, then you actually, I know that at least in the emergency department where I worked, they were offering up to $20,000 more a year if you were a certified emergency medicine nurse practitioner. So that is also one of the cool things is, about being a nurse practitioner is you can be a family nurse practitioner, right? And then, and that's why I'm glad I did family. I can be a family nurse practitioner and then I can go back and become certified in whatever thing that I particularly like, so I think it's really worth it if you want to be in OBGYN or you want to be in dermatology. You can go back to school, find a little program. They're not very long. They're usually, I think, like 6 months or not even a year maybe. And you go back and you become certified in that, and then you can get paid more. So I think it's worth it in the long run. So that's my little spiel. If you guys have any questions, obviously you can, I'm on Instagram more than I'm on here, so DM me on Instagram. But if you want to just try to contact me on here, you can do that too. But I hope that helps you guys. So anyway, have a good day.